listeners, and welcome back to the Skylight Books podcast series. We're here for another Better Than the Movie, where three booksellers get together with a talented guest to discuss movie adaptations of books. I'm your co-host, Justin Remer.
I'm Allan Traylor.
I'm Tyler Austin.
And today we have brought back another talented guest. We have brought back Conor Holt from the Green Knight episode.
Hey. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me back, guys.
Woo.
Hey, welcome back.
And tell us, what have you brought us today to discuss?
Well, I like my idea of doing the least amount of work possible, so I'm doing another short story, and this time it's James Joyce's The Dead from his book of short stories, Dubliners.
Me and Tyler, thank you.
Yes. No novels here, just short stories.
Yeah, and actually the film adaptation by John Huston,
Yes.
The Dead, is also like 83 minutes or something. So
a tidy 83 minutes.
In and out.
And what a treat. So what sparked this as an option to discuss? What had this in your mind?
Sure, a couple things. One is I love Irish cinema. My mom is Irish, so I'm always trying to watch more Irish films. So I watched this a few years ago, loved it, but I had been putting off reading the short story. I should really get around to this. So when you guys came to me with let's come back on the podcast. Oh, great. I could finally read this now. I have an excuse. And then around the same time, Karina Longworth did a podcast recently about The Old Man Is Still Alive, about aging directors and their final movies. And the finale of the season was John Huston talking about how, he'd started off all these big hits in the 40s, 50s, then had some really rough 60s, 70s, but then came back in the 80s, and this is his final movie. And that's really good. I wanted to learn more about that, and now it segues perfectly into finally reading it and talking about this movie specifically.
Yeah, and actually cross-pollinating with another podcast we listened to. In a way, the Academy Award success of Prizzi's Honor, this becomes like a final blank check that,
We are
you don't necessarily get to do The Dead if you don't have
level.
a big success like Prizzi's Honor.
And he had been apparently he had been a fan of Joyce, and he wanted to do an Irish film for a long time. So this was definitely a passion project for him. So
Yeah.
I'm glad for his final movie he did get to make it, and he died 6 days before the premiere of the movie. So it really was his final movie.
Yeah, I think maybe it was on the Karina Longworth podcast. I remember there just being sort of he kind of did a Hitchcock and was not shooting extra coverage. He just kind of knew to shoot what he wanted, so that way the editing would go very fast because he didn't know how much time he had.
I believe it.
What about you guys? Is this, Tyler and Allan, is this your first exposure to Jimmy Joyce and Johnny Hughes, or what?
I'm just one of those people who read Ulysses once a year.
Sure.
People don't know that about me.
Yeah. Because it's not true, I think.
Yep, that would be correct. Yeah, that's
Probably
right.
why they don't know.
This
is my first Joyce. I'm trying to think. I surely have seen some of his other movies, but I can't think off the top of my head.
He's got the Treasure of the Sierra Madre, Maltese Falcon.
I haven't seen Maltese Falcon.
African
actually.
Queen.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So he had all these big classics early in his career.
Yeah.
But then I've seen nothing from the 50s to now. He did Prison Honor, which I've heard is very good, but I've never seen that. But he just kept making films, and Annie. I know some people really love Annie. I didn't grow up with that, but maybe some people did. But this definitely for me is wow. He goes on a high note.
Yeah, no, Fat City from the early 70s.
Oh my God, that
is
movie's so
really
good.
good.
Okay, there we
I
go.
haven't seen that one.
Rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan.
Nice. We found the sweet spot right there.
Yeah. Also based on a book, very short book. We could do it on the pod. It's a good book. Yeah.
It is funny because we were talking beforehand. So the script is credited to John Huston's son, Tony.
Yeah.
And it feels very faithful to the short story. There's very little that diverges or is deleted or added. And it feels similar to the Maltese Falcon, which famously he gave to a secretary and was just put this in script form. And that was his first draft of the Maltese Falcon.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. He's great. Treasure Sierra Madre is great, but Fat City's really good. I'm trying to think. Obviously he's good as an actor.
Oh yeah,
In Chinatown.
Yeah.
As a screen presence. Just a big hulking guy who you believe would buy the future.
Sure. I believed it.
Yeah. He makes you believe.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I was trying to think back on so in high school we had like group project where it was like pick an author and each of the 4 people in your group, do a book by that author. And we foolishly picked James Joyce.
Ooh.
Now the people who got Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake did not finish their books.
Sure.
And kind of just had to be like, well, this is what I read these books are about. And they did a presentation on that. And the teacher was like, yeah, I probably shouldn't have okayed you guys picking him. Like, this is great. You guys did fine. And then, the person that had Portrait of the Artist, that's fairly straightforward. And then I just was like, yeah, here's just a bunch of short stories. But the thing I remember and the thing I joked about in our text was just that, like, whatever, criticism or Sparks notes or whatever I read at the time was like, it's the theme of Dubliners is paralysis. And I was like, I kind of get it, but it's funny now, like, not being, a slave to, like, high school thinking to read and be like, I don't know, paralysis isn't the only theme I would take away from The Dead.
I think it's fuck the Protestants. It's a
part of it. That's for sure.
It's best character in the movie right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
No, I agree. I definitely have always been afraid to read Ulysses. All I hear is just, it's really hard to read. Like, oh, man, I guess I should try one day.
But. I mean, it starts mid-sentence, right?
No, that one's Finnegan's Wake.
Okay.
Is that Finnegan's Wake?
That one's the one where theoretically you can start anywhere in the book because it's just a loop.
Oh, wow.
So, like, it does start mid-sentence, but that sentence begins on the last page of the book. Like,
oh, wow. That's interesting.
But also, like, from what I understand, like, it's the kind of thing, like, it took him 20 years to write, and it might take you years to parse through it because it's so much, like, invented dialect and reference to, like, dead languages and authors that, like, so you definitely need, like, a book next to the book. Because I think that's what I've heard, too, about Ulysses is either you need to just listen to it read through and just sort of, like, enjoy the melody of it, or you need to have a book next to the book to explain everything that you're reading.
Well, even with this, I was like
David Foster Wallace.
The film and the Dead short story, I was like, they keep drop some names or some references and like, oh, so what does that refer to? I definitely was like half the time going to Google, like, what are they referencing here? Because this is so specific to 1904 Ireland.
Yes,
and what is in the conversation? What is in the news? What is being talked about? And I love the idea that was it Joyce? He famously, like, he leaves Ireland in 1904 and he lives in Europe the rest of his life. But he keeps writing about Ireland, and I feel like he's memorialized his memories of Ireland in these books by just like constantly writing in extreme detail about what he remembers, even though he doesn't live there anymore.
Yeah, I think on Wikipedia I saw that like some of the characters from The Dead are referenced in Ulysses. Like they don't appear again, but like people will talk about like, oh, Mr. Conroy or whatever like that.
It's just for the big fans,
Yeah, Miss Jane's singing classes or what? Yeah, sure, okay, huh.
Yeah, definitely every time I experience like an Irish story, I'm always like, I don't really know a lot about Ireland. Because there's a lot of references that are just completely over my head.
Can you think of another example of like an Irish story you've been exposed to?
The last one was the Banshees of Inisherin.
Oh, sure.
I was like, I know this is about Irish politics.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that dumb, but I don't know what specifically they're referring to with like all of these like things. I don't know.
The Troubles.
Well, yeah, sure. But that one
specifically,
generic Troubles.
It's much earlier before
it's the Civil War specifically, and the idea that like, you're right. Like this one definitely made me think like, okay, yeah, this is written for an Irish audience who would know, like
it would just hit different. Yeah.
Like even in the movie, like they add. Like I don't think it's in the book, but they add, even the movie adds more of that. Like the reference, like in the dinner party, they're saying, women will take men down, like Parnell. Like who's Parnell? Oh, Parnell was a revolutionary speaker in the 1800s who, when an affair was brought to light, his career was ruined. Like about that one little name drop is specifically yes, but like you think, oh yeah, it would be if you lived in Ireland in 1904. That would be just a casual thing about politics you would mention.
Yeah.
But if you don't know Irish history, that means nothing.
Even like we're kind of jumping around, but even like when they're discussing Irish tenors, and she's like, Parkinson, he had such a clear voice, and then everyone's like, who the hell is that? And the one guy's like, I remember people talking about Parkinson. At least I've got that.
Yeah.
So it feels like the same kind of thing. Like I at least know the reference. I don't get it totally, but like
What chance do we have if other characters in the story don't know who this person is? And they're from that time.
If you're writing your Irish story right now, make it for the people like me.
I was just going to say, Allan, I think you were being,
make it simple.
You were being too narrow. There's so many cultures you know nothing about.
That is correct.
And just keep that in mind. No.
Yeah.
I mean, it's every time I've come across.
Still enjoyed it, but like, there's a definite like knowledge missing.
There's a knowledge gap. I mean, also every time I read an Irish story, I'm like, that's bleak.
Yeah. Also that.
But also, I come across a lot of McDonoughs and I guess like some Irish poetry and stuff. But it's all pretty bleak. I mean,
that's what 800 years of British oppression does to you.
Yeah, I mean, being an oppressed people, that's kind of what it ends.
Pretty bleak.
And bad weather. You're gonna feel bad a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly as far as the films, the McDonough brothers definitely are like, I mean, you'll laugh a bit, but it'll hurt.
Yeah,
it's still pretty fucking sad.
Just know that the inciting incident was a child being shot. Anyways, comedy.
Here's Sam Rockwell dancing.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you think of other stories that the dead maybe made you think of? Because for me, the family gathering aspect, and it's not Christmas exactly. It's supposed to be, I guess, 12th night or Epiphany that they're gathering for. It definitely made me think of Ingmar Bergman's Fanny and Alexander, like the beginning where it's like an hour of Christmas dinner and the family's getting together and they have all their dramas and stuff. There's no farting in this one, but so I got very heavy Fanny and Alexander vibes, which is good. That's good to me. Like I really like the opening of Fanny and Alexander. So this immediately I was like, I'm in. Even though I can't, especially in the story at first, I had trouble tracking everyone's names. Yeah. But the characters come out soon enough. So yeah.
It definitely falls into that kind of turn of the century Victorian Christmas. I think is a very appealing time. I feel like obviously a Christmas story, but even sort of the Nutcracker Ballet is kind of that. Just sort of a Christmas party, but we're all going to dress up in fancy outfits and we're going to sing and dance and play parlor games. It's a very appealing kind of nostalgic Christmas.
Yeah. And wait, a Christmas? You don't mean the
Carol?
I'll shoot your eye out.
Christmas Carol. It's a Christmas story. Christmas Carol. Okay. Christmas story's a little different.
Yeah.
But Christmas Carol,
I was like, I'm with you. Wait, what? Okay,
yeah.
You mean American Carol, right?
The Henry Winkler version.
Yeah.
That just those movies that feel cold.
You're right. They're always nostalgic because everyone's dead now. They're always like, the Christmas have long passed, and they're all dead now.
Yeah, that is true. There is the also in Fanny and Alexander. There's definitely like a lot of like shots of the snow, and the whole end of this story in both versions is about the snow.
Right, snow coming over Ireland, covering Ireland. Yeah, exactly, and just looking cold from inside.
No one takes off their overcoats. They're all and then they definitely look like they're staying. All you have is candles. There's no warmth in that house. Just candles.
What are you talking about? There's so much laughter. There's tons of
warmth. Well, that's why they're drinking so much of the whiskey.
But the funny thing though is that the film is filmed here in California. Like they shot all the interiors are here outside in Valencia because Houston was too sick to travel to Ireland, so they just built the set here in California, and then they sent a crew to film the exterior shots in Dublin. And the house is actually the house from the Joyce's family's room. So the house in the movie is the correct house that's based on the whole story is based on his aunts who had a Christmas party every year like this. So
yeah.
The house is still there now in Dublin.
That was sort of my suspicion about the Gabriel characters. It feels a little bit of like self-criticism a little bit. Yeah.
Definitely him and a little bit of his dad too, apparently. Like his dad would give speeches at this party. But I agree though. I think definitely there's this whole inner monologue about how he kind of hates Ireland. He wants to get to Europe. He doesn't like knowing, because that definitely feels very Joyce, because he did move to Europe and never returned, basically. But still loved Ireland, obviously. He wrote about Ireland, but kind of want to get away from it. So I definitely feel that in the character of Gabriel.
Because he didn't have that woman saying he's from West Britain constantly. It was such hatred.
God his ass.
Britain.
God his ass.
Great insult.
She wanted that dance. She was waiting for that moment.
Prepared.
The thing that it's not so much in the movie, but in the book, is that woman when she's like calling him out for writing for the unionist paper, is that she does give him like, I read it. It was pretty good writing, but as though Joyce was like, come on, even the characters that criticize me have got to be like, you're a pretty good writer, but yeah.
I'm trying to think if it reminded me of anything. I mean, I guess a little bit of is it a celebration? Is also
Festin?
The
Vinterberg is who I'm thinking of. Yeah.
I mean, it sort of just reminds me of like any sort of like big
family
gathering movie. Yeah.
Sort of like the vacation
sure.
movies.
I think we talked about it being like Festin a little bit.
Yeah.
You've got the drunk relative.
Yeah.
You've got the bickering. You've got the arguments. Like, yeah, it definitely feels like it's very universal in that sense of just, we've all had that family get together where everyone's like, hey, guys, no politics. Let's all be civil here. Let's not bring in politics to the conversation.
Straight to politics.
Also keep the wine away from Freddie. He's already had enough.
Yeah. He's like, it's Teddy.
Why do you call me Teddy?
I love the part in the movie, too, where like his mother asks, Gabriel's like, how bad is he? And he's like, he's good, and she's like, that bad.
Very funny. Very good. Very good.
He's gonna become a monk. He's gonna be fine, dude. Yeah, let him live.
Sleep in a coffin every night. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Should we sort of try to break down the beats of the story? It's not got a huge plot, but maybe a little bit of. All right.
It's a real easy one for me. I mean, right. It's a gathering on. Wait. How did this happen when I wasn't here, Connor? Because I usually do this part.
I don't remember
who did it.
I think we all struggled through it.
My fucking shoes.
It took three men. It took 3 men to be you.
I was felled. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's a nice thing. Right. It's an Epiphany Day party. We have the two aunts. Julie, I have the character's name because they are hard to remember. Let me get them out. There's Kate Morgan and Julia Morgan. They're hosting like an Epiphany Day. It's January 6th, right? Am I not mistaken?
Yes.
Yeah.
Famous day.
A great day.
Yeah.
1904.
2020. I mean, a great day. And then it starts with the house taker, Lily, being literally swept off her feet is a line I remember, which is funny. Because basically they're like waiting on the stairs for everyone to arrive to their party because they're waiting for their favorite nephew, who we've spoken about is Gabriel Conroy and his wife Greta Conroy. And then they arrive and there's a lot of galoshes talk.
There's a lot of galoshes talk.
New invention.
Galoshes. You heard of these galoshes?
Like, of course. They go in your feet, I believe.
I've heard of a galosh. I'm no simpleton.
Yeah. But it's also supposed to be like the symbol of like how how continental Gabriel is, that he makes his wife wear galoshes.
An international man.
Yeah. Too good for Irish shoes.
Irish shoes. Oh, you don't want to get your feet wet, huh? It's a lot of that.
How continental of you.
Yeah.
There's the funny thing in the movie too at the end where they're wrapping up the party and she's like, here's your doohickeys back.
Yeah, literally, your thingamajigs or whatever. He's like, galoshes. They're called galoshes. It's not that hard. No. So there was a moment where I texted Allan just being like, a lot of galosh talk. A lot of galosh talk.
True. And that's kind of a thing that I consider like an old ass thing.
Yeah.
I thought they'd been around for fucking ever.
Yes, truly.
Based on this book, I was like, oh shit, I guess everything is pretty fucking new, huh?
It's everything's new, and then it's a thing that you're right, because you're like, I think the thing I would most remember galoshes from is probably a movie I watched from like the 60s, where I'm like, that's the oldest thing I could imagine is like the idea of wearing galoshes, and that's after 70 years of them being around.
Exactly.
We don't wear them anymore. Anyway, so they get past the galosh talk. He really scrapes off his shoes and the galoshes, and then his aunts are like, "Oh, we're so glad you could be here." Also, like, you got to watch out for Freddie. He's a little drinky, even though he took the pledge.
Well, and they also subdivide. Like the women have their room to get ready. So Gabriel's wife goes off, and the other aunts, and they go off to the ladies' dressing room, and then it's just sort of like they're waiting for Freddie because like how. Does she call him screwed in the story too?
Screwed in the story. I think in the movie, isn't she saying stewed?
Yeah,
or is she
stewed, I think.
Stewed, not screwed.
Yeah, they changed a few things. I watched it on Tubi, and I noticed in some of the subtitles they just got things wrong.
Yeah. Close enough,
But you know what? Because I also watch it on Tubi. There's a moment when he finishes his toast, which we've been waiting for, and this is a big jump ahead. I'm just gonna
spoiler alert.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Okay. Anyways. Yeah. He doesn't get killed before the speech. In celebration of Tubi and their ability to place commercials well, which like now every streaming site has commercials and they fuck up where to put the commercials. I was like, man, this would be a perfect spot for a commercial break. Bang! Jar Dance comes right in, like right after he finished his speech, and I was like, they know what they're fucking doing over at Tubi. They got it under control.
Tubi cares.
Tubi cares.
They're swept up in the emotions.
Get
them now.
I don't know.
Get them now.
A bit of a digression, but just saying that there are shows I will watch on other networks or other streaming services that will put commercials into shows that have commercial breaks. And they fuck up. They don't put them in the commercial breaks.
The default writing style still has commercial breaks
There's
essentially
a
built
cut to
in.
black where a commercial is supposed to go, and they're like, you know what? Actually, I want to put it right in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, fuck cinema.
Spend 10 cents to have someone go through and put it where. Yeah, anyways, so Tubi's great. So yes, right, and then basically
the people's streaming service, as we've said,
of course. So yeah,
Sponsored.
that's right. His wife goes upstairs with his aunts, and then he's downstairs waiting for Freddie, and he like makes small talk with Lily. That's like super awkward. He's like, "Oh, Lily, you were a little girl. I bet we'll be going to your wedding soon." And she's like, "Men fucking blow.
Men suck.
They suck."
And he's like, "Whoa, hey, what the fuck, dude?"
It's Christmas. Here's a tip.
She's like, "I don't want this
he's like,
fucking
you know what?
money."
Let me buy myself out of this conversation.
And she's like, "Take your fucking money
Gabriel
back,
is your
dude."
classic, like, he's trying to be the responsible one at like a family gathering, trying to make small talk with everyone.
Well, they're
And they
also
all
making him too.
I know, yeah. And they all give him the problems. Like, God, all these problems I have to deal with right now. Like, he's your classic, he's your Chevy Chase in like National Lampoon. Like, he's trying to keep it all together. There's people, one guy's drunk, one person's arguing. Like, oh my God, I'm just trying to get through the night, make sure it all goes well.
It's basically like a much more somber Frasier episode where they're hosting a dinner party and he's like going from room to room being like, "Oh no, what's in here now?" So he like escapes Lily by tipping her extra well.
And then and she's like, "You don't have to." And he's like, "It's Christmas. It's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Okay,
let's end this.
You made this weird, not me.
So then, right, as that's pretty much leads right into a little bit later, Freddie arrives, right? And basically, now I felt like in the reading of it, he wasn't quite as tanked as they portray him in the movie. But
you got to play it for laughs.
Maybe they really do. I mean, he's blasted in the movie.
He's so funny though.
He's hilarious. I was like, oh, okay, he's holding it together. I don't know.
When he's like trying to make his point, and it's like, buddy,
I never heard you sing so well before.
And he's like, and I really mean it. And she's like, okay, sit the fuck down.
Right.
Sit the fuck down, Freddie.
Thank you.
She's like, okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like a compliment, by the way.
No, exactly. Right. She's been doing this for 30 years.
Yeah, it's like,
and I just
every
now
year
sound
we
good?
tolerate your singing, but I am toasted enough right now that your singing is good.
For
Crushing.
once, it's good.
Crushing.
But they're missing the point. He's trying to say it's beautiful, and I want you to know that it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's
a
what he's
nice
trying to say.
guy thing to do.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, so then, right, because I'm trying to think in the short story, does he like take him into the powder room and fix him up?
I think that might.
I think that's
be the rare
an
edition.
invention. An invention of the film.
Where he's like, "Hey, you look disheveled, dude."
Right, because they
get some water
mention
in your
him
face.
being disheveled, and Mr. Brown, gives him like drink, and he takes it in the left hand, but with the right hand, he's straightening out his jacket or something. It's basically as far as they go. And then in the movie, they're like, "Take this guy to the powder room, splash some water in his face, put on a pot of black coffee. Yeah. We gotta sober this guy up."
His mother's here.
His
mother all the way from Glasgow.
She made the trip. Yeah,
You can't see him plastered like this.
But also, I love that thing that she made him take the sobriety pledge,
Yeah.
and it's been like 6 days, and he's blown it.
Yep.
Like,
Right, which I feel like in the movie they also, because when he sees his mom, she's like, we were supposed to have lunch or something, and he's like, I was detained, and it's like, I don't think that was in the I don't remember that being in the story either, but it is very funny, him just being like, I was detained, and she's like, at the pub.
Yeah. And he's like,
He also has like just a stammer in the movie as well. Which
I found him very endearing. He's
lovely.
Dude.
Freddie's great.
I got to look him up.
And by the way,
I definitely
like,
recognize that.
Before Freddie even
The actor,
arrives,
yeah.
they're like, he's going to be drunk. It's
He's going to be so
Of course
screwed.
he is, man. That's what. Wouldn't you be surprised if he wasn't?
Do you want to be sober to face your mother at Christmas dinner? I don't want to be sober to meet my family.
Not a particularly nice mom.
Also, no,
necessarily.
she's a tough one. Also, just a quick shout out for the movie as well. Like one of the first guests who arrives in the movie, motherfucking Cole Meany.
Meany!
Yeah.
Meany!
Of course.
In one of his like first roles. Like,
Crazy.
Super young Cole
You gotta
Meany.
have
I
him
was
in
so
there, dude.
psyched. I
love it.
Gotta have him in there.
I looked up. It's the same year, or like it's like a year later he joined Star Trek. So I guess he was in Los Angeles auditioning. Like
Sick.
I'm
They're
trying
like,
to get American
"You're
roles.
Irish."
Like, hey,
Yeah.
want to film in Ireland? Oh, I'm like okay, sure.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what
I'm looking
you...
to play Americans, but sure, I'll do Irish.
I can do... Hey, I'm pretty good at it.
It's like what I read an interview where he said like when he got the role in Star Trek, he tried to like downplay the Irish accent, just play it as just American. Like, no, Colin, we hired you for the Irish accent.
And he's like,
do the
"God
Irish
damn it."
accent. We want an Irishman on the bridge.
That will be awesome.
Okay.
You have a great voice.
We like your voice. Don't
He does have a great voice.
Oh, so good. Conor. Oh, love
Great
that
guy,
guy.
great.
Love that guy.
Yeah.
Was a great that guy moment.
And what's it called? And then we have Mr. Brown. I forget the actor's name, but the actor he's in. He's the villain from Halloween 3. He's,
right.
Oh, no way.
He's,
For real?
He's the
That
evil
face?
Irishman trying to
Season of the Witch, right?
Yes, he's the witch.
That's so
He's
funny,
going to use
too.
druid magic to kill all the world's children. It's like, hey, that guy.
Yeah.
Right, by cursing toys?
Yeah, the mask. The mask that will
masks,
kill you.
yeah. Mhm.
All right, I've got
Tom
IMDb.
Atkins, baby.
Dan O'Hurley is that actor's
That's
name.
Mr. Brown, yeah.
And Donald McCann plays Gabriel, and of course, Angelica Houston.
Yes.
Recent Academy Award winner Angelica Houston plays Gabriel's wife, Greta.
Yes. If you weren't picturing statuesque Angelica Houston, start picturing it.
It is also funny that like the DVD
Oh, yeah.
cover and also the Tubi image is this weird Photoshop of like
Insane.
the only
let me see this.
probably like still photo of her
Damn,
from
that's so bad.
just like we got a close up on her,
Yeah.
Photoshop it up, make that the cover.
The
Hit it with
original,
some gloss.
the original poster is like this, which is like them dancing. Much better poster. That's what
much
it should
more
be.
evocative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is
But like,
the most...
we have Houston's movie, put her on the cover.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that
this
makes
is a
sense.
specific era of DVD where it's like we need
No,
a
we're
big face.
still in it, dude.
Yeah.
It's still just big floating faces.
Oh,
Give us big face.
Even like like, what's it called? Like Promising Young Woman. Like the poster is really creative, but then the DVD's just her face. Like, yep, just gotta make sure we sell this as Carey Mulligan movie.
Yeah. You want to know who the promising young woman is?
Yeah.
It's this one.
It's for the Walmart bin, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
When they're
Or
fishing
even the
through it.
Netflix scroll menu. We gotta make sure
Sure.
like the little icon on your screen is a face that you recognize.
Also, she's holding a rose on that
Yeah,
DVD
I don't know where
cover,
that
which-
comes from, but
I don't think is at all a part of the movie.
Yeah.
No, it's nice, you know, intern had a thought, you know?
well, yeah. Speaking of the DVD,
Going with
did you see last year's Almodovar film, The Room Next Door?
I heard that they watched the end of the movie, right?
It's a film about Tilda Swinton is dying of cancer. It's about her friendship with Julianne Moore, and in the movie, they literally they're like, "Hey, let's watch The Dead," and it's because it's about dying, and then the movie ends with them quoting like the final lines of the Dead short story. So like clearly,
I don't think
Almodovar's
you
a
can
big
do
fan.
that, man.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
That's really
Do
interesting.
that.
The funniest thing is also that it's like they're at like an Airbnb and they're like looking through the DVD. Oh, look, The Dead's here. It's like only in an Almodovar movie would The Dead, this out of print DVD, be on someone's Airbnb shelf.
Yeah.
Very funny detail.
Oh, is this Akira Kurosawa's apartment? Very cool.
Because like, what's it called? In I think it's in his other film, Pain and Glory. Is with where it's like it's based on his own life, and then Banderas is looking through his DVDs, and you can tell like this they have the Amoeba sticker on some of them. Like, these are definitely Almodovar's own DVDs that he bought from Amoeba when he was in town last time. Like, I love that detail. Like, good, Almodovar's an Amoeba fan. Very nice.
That's really funny. I'm just picturing it for other directors and like characters in their movies, like what would be in their apartment. It's like Tarantino. Oh, weird. They got Black Belt Jones here. Oh,
and Lady Snowblood right next to it.
I guess we should put that on, huh?
And this is on VHS next to a working VHS player. Very cool.
Whoa, Laserdisc. That's crazy.
Got that out of print commentary. Perfect.
In a similar way, you have like what's it called? Like David Cronenberg, like his latest film, The Shrouds. You've got what's his name? The lead actor just looks like David Cronenberg. He's got the same
Vince
hairdo.
Cassell has the same haircut.
Hey,
Vince
Cassell
looks like me.
good.
Make an artist. Make him look exactly like me. I want my lead character to look just like me.
Yeah. Or like there's always a guy in a Nolan movie who looks like Chris Nolan. Yeah, exactly.
DiCaprio Inception. Just that's Nolan. He just looks like
Pattinson
Nolan.
in Tenet, basically. Yeah.
The slick back hair and the suit. Yep.
Fun, a jaunty scarf, if you will. And a scarf, which is what you need when it's cold, like in the movie The Dead. Bang, back.
Seamless segue. Seamless.
Did it in 2 moves.
What an epiphany.
Beautiful.
An Epiphany's Day, if you will. Also, like in The Dead.
He's firing.
So then, they arrive. They help Freddy. They get Freddy cleaned up a little bit.
He just sort of tosses water on him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all they could do for drunks then.
Sure.
Splash a little water.
Yeah, right as rain.
He's out there, and then we meet Mr. Brown, who is basically this became very clear in the movie is where they're having their sort of back and forth, and like they have in the book. But it's basically like an old man looking at a young version of himself, and a young man looking at an older version of himself. Where it's like, we're a pair of drunks.
Yep.
But we don't like what I don't like about you is the thing I don't like about myself. Yeah. So I'm going to pick on you, basically. And so they have some interactions. But that guy's like hitting on young women who are like the students of the niece of the aunts who are hosting the party. And they are like, we're not really into that. Thank you, though. But he has a great joke about how drinking a big glass of whiskey is doctor's orders.
Oh, yeah.
And people are like, I bet no doctor would ever prescribe that. And he's like, you haven't met my doctor, or whatever his joke was. And then there's some dancing.
There's a lot of dancing.
A lot of dancing, which is where we meet, was her last name Mrs. Ives?
Mrs. Ivers?
Ivers, thank you, yeah.
Who very strong opinions.
Strong opinions about what Gabriel's been up to.
Well, also, I love that her opening line is like, are you GC? Because his name is Gabriel Conroy, and he just kind of stares at her dumbfounded. He's like, you've been writing for that unionist rag, the Daily Express. I don't know why I made her like an older lady. Like, you've been writing.
I mean, she does talk with urgency. So
there is, for sure.
And that's also fast. Like, once again, like the idea that this says 1904, and the book is published, I think, in like 1917. So it's still relatively early. So he's still the fact that the discussion of British-Irish politics, the idea that there's people there who are very pro-nationalist, and then people like Gabriel who are very like, I don't want to get into politics. He's making this very clear point, but he wrote the story years before, so I'm sure it was very interesting by the time it was published. Like, whoa, this got way more relevant now. I just wrote that as like that was a discussion when I was a child or I was a young man. Now this is suddenly very prescient.
Yeah,
basically, yeah. I mean, it's kind of that, and then because he's writing literary reviews, right? So that's sort of his excuse for like why it's okay.
I'm not writing politics. I'm just writing reviews that have been published in a British newspaper. Yeah.
As someone who has like gotten free DVDs to review them for the internet, I was like, when he said, "Yeah, man, sometimes you just get the free book and it's great," and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it, man."
Like any
do it
true
for the free book.
Physical media freak, he's like, "I just love feeling that cover."
Yeah, man.
I want them on my shelf, and it rocks. It's very cool. I don't care who sends them to me.
I don't care what they're into.
I mean, that's the next thing, right? There's not something in between. I'm trying to like basically they decide like I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Mr. Brown's there. He's
I feel like there's a lot of little like familia in betweens as well.
Yeah, we have the older sister sings a song.
Yes, right. Oh yeah, right. Julia sings, and right, like so to differentiate them, like Julia's a little older, a little more worse for wear. It seems like, and which becomes relevant later. And
there's like the three of them. So there's the two older and then the niece.
And their niece,
yeah.
who it seems in a similar way as like she's also going to be an old maid, like she's an old maid in training.
Yeah, and then Gabriel's the one, like he's the more well off, he's married, has kids, kind of nephew.
Yeah, and there's the moment before. She goes, the older lady starts singing, as the younger one plays a very like run heavy piece of music that everyone kind of like politely nods through.
It's jazz, baby.
And like it's so nicely and understatedly like played out in the movie, but it's described in the story as well, that like just that's when a couple guys dip out for a drink, and then when the piece is over, they come back and they're just clapping like, oh, that was the best.
Yeah. There is like this like expectation of there's a ritual to this evening. They've done this for years now. Someone sings a song, someone does a piano piece, then we do the group dance, and then we sit down for like. There's a certain tradition to this that everyone sort of knows the beats of the evening.
Yeah,
because I also like this is no kids here. This is not a this is not. I think of like more modern Christmas stories are more about like, oh, there's kids running around, there's a mess. Like this is very much more like, no, we have a certain routine. The kids stay at home. This is only for the adults. This is a very much more organized Christmas party as opposed to something like I don't know, other more rambunctious family get together movies or TV shows or whatnot.
Well, I think I had maybe known but forgotten. Apparently, in like 1999 or 2000. They made a Broadway musical version of this, and there is no cast album for it. I think there's like a Pittsburgh cast album that's out of print or something like that.
But Christopher Walken was Gabriel
in the Broadway version.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
But the only thing that survives, I found, is that they performed one of the songs at the Tonys that year. He's not there, but the cast is doing like a dance and a performance. It's not him, but it's the other cast members. So that's on YouTube. So that's cool to see. But like, I really would be curious. I would have loved to have seen that on stage, but
you got to get to the theater, man.
I know, but like, go back in time to 1999.
You got to go back.
Live that moment. Got to go live.
Well, because actually, speaking of the spirit of Irish cinema, it does give the potential for like a once where like they have that like gathering and once where they all get together and sort of like trade a song or trade a thing around the dinner table. Although that's just like a sequence in that film, but.
Music is definitely very important to like so many Irish stories, or like there's so much of an emphasis on music in Irish culture. The crack that kind of you go to a pub and everyone just brings an instrument and starts playing along. So definitely that just feels like very much this is it's a good Irish party has singing and dancing involved somehow.
Like in Sinners.
Yes,
that was the best surprise in that movie was the reveal of an Irish Kaylee dancing in the middle of a vampire movie. Amazing, loved it. It is like you have the clan, sir. We believe in equality. I may be a vampire. I'm not a racist
like,
vampire.
Hold on.
God.
Easy does it, pal.
I got a cult thing going on here, man. Yeah,
It's really so good.
yeah.
So there's a bunch of little familial interactions. There's the singing. There's in the movie, because this wasn't in the short story either, right? They have the guy who recites the like translated piece.
That was nice. Yeah, I like
that was really good. Again, kind of speaking to like, I feel like that's a thing people again, the Irish culture being like very performery and oratory and that kind of, which was really interesting.
Well, it's also interesting too because it is translated from Irish to English for them to hear it, and like many of them hadn't heard it, so it is speaking to this moment of like Irish English identity, like how much has been given away and how much are we taking back, and so that was kind of an interesting addition to the
it was very thematically on point. Obviously, the piece being about like you've taken the world you've taken everything from me, but like that's love, and then they cut to one of the young women being like, I wish I was in love like that.
Yeah,
it's
very strange but beautiful.
Very strange but beautiful. Great review.
Yeah,
but that was all really good, right? And so then Gabriel dances. He's also So I was going to say exactly. There are no kids. They're planning on staying in a hotel, which is like a plot point, I guess. As much as this thing has plot points,
sure.
But it's like basically they've left the kids at home and they're going to
night away from the kids.
Yes, it's mom and dad's night out at the big epiphany party,
and it's less so in the movie, but the end of the story is Gabriel's like, and now I am horny.
Yes, time
we have partied, and I am horny.
I did notice that. Like, there's no way to really like. I guess the film could have added some dialogue there, but you're right. They kind of like we don't know how to express this visually. This is all internal monologue that he's like, oh, wow, this is great. This is our first night out in how many years?
She's so beautiful.
They're also not interacting a
nuts.
ton in the story itself, so it's just
It's
like...
I love it. It's all in his head. He gets one look at her like, yeah, let's go. And I'm suddenly ready.
Yeah.
This was our chance.
That said, like, all the looks in the last 20 minutes of the movie, just like, the picture worth 1,000 words. Like, the looking is so good.
Yeah, great eye acting. Unbelievable eye acting. Just everyone using those eyeballs. Whew.
And the face is connected to them a little
even
bit.
better. Yeah, great too. So they dance. They have he has the moment with the woman who then in the she kind of gives him shit about being kind of a flaky, not proud of his, like, why? Oh, you're going to go to the continent for the summer? You should explore your own country. And he's like, I'm sick of Ireland. Enough. So she like pokes at him about being of West Britain, blah, blah, blah. And then she leaves before dinner, which I think in the movie they've...
Yeah, and once again, like, they've added a detail. In the book, I have to leave, guys, I'm going home. But in the film, they make a point, I'm going to a nationalist meeting where James Connolly, one of the future leaders of the Irish Revolution, will speak.
Yes.
Like, that's a great detail. I love that little reference there. Once again, like, Joyce was definitely aware of all of the revolution, but to make that very specific, James Connolly is going to speak tonight. That's a really cool detail that they throw in there. That I like. That it once again, it feels very natural to the story. It's not a huge addition, like changing the plot, but it adds more details and levels of thematic quality to this very simple story.
Totally. It's like a nice texture detail. Because in the story, and I guess it's funny because I didn't get that sense when I was reading the story, but the way in the movie they have her like wink at him, I was like, oh, is there like a thing between them? Is there like something that had happened here that we don't know about? Or like because in the book, then she leaves very suddenly, like out. And I guess they both work at the college is the idea. Like they are sort of... I don't know if that's like obliquely referenced.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I think she's just fucking with him.
Before the sort of final scene where the Greta character really comes to shine, for a moment, I was like, I don't remember who plays what, and I thought maybe Angelica Houston played Mrs. Ivers, and it was secretly like there was a thing, and like she was a Spitfire, and it's like, oh no, she's gone very quickly.
Yeah, she's out of here.
And then when the Greta scene is like, oh right, yeah, that's the character for Angelica.
That's
Houston.
the scene you put your Oscar-winning daughter in.
But another thing, like the whole like. The benefit, once again, like this is like the book is so much about like his internal monologue, and one of my favorite things is when she leaves, like, oh, because he's like he was really nervous about giving the speech in front of her, like, oh, good, she left, great, I don't have to worry about her giving me crap on my speech. my biggest critic left, good, that's a load off.
Yeah, which just also during the dancing stuff, shot incredibly. Like it's so cool, like the camera being part of the dance, basically, like to get to like to Freddie and his mom. It's like people are dancing through and the camera's kind of moving. It's incredible stuff.
Oh, that's what
really
I was
good filming.
Say too is the music by Alex North. Like even just the like piece that plays over the opening credits, just the black on white credits, which is that delicate piece. I was like, practically this might be padding to like get it over like 83 minutes or whatever. But the mood, like this piece is so beautiful. And like, I don't know if it's reprised at the end or if it's a similar piece at the end, but when that style of music comes back, I was just like, ooh.
It chills you.
There's a tone. There's a certain tone the film captures of like it's a different time. At once it's very kind of homey. It's very comforting, but also there's a certain the feel of the book is this sort of this is a moment in time, and time is moving on, and time is passing, and it's sort of that kind of like you better know you're in the good times because this all will pass eventually. We all will die eventually. So the film captures that very well. Of, oh, look at this lovely evening, but there's a certain sense of throughout the whole movie of just like this is only fleeting. This is a fleeting moment in time that's not going to last.
Like nostalgia and melancholy just being intertwined. Like you can't have the nostalgia without the melancholy.
Yeah,
like
the little montage in the film where like we see there's a montage where we see like family portraits and the little. And that's a great little, like, just like, acknowledging, sure, this is the moment, but like there's so much has come before this, and then that's reflected later on in the little flash forward that happens at the end of the story, where like this is time we've been somewhere else, here we are now, but eventually it'll all be over.
Yeah.
And all we have left is a faded photograph.
Yeah, and some army medals and trinkets. Well, so they dance, and then they have dinner. He's going to cut the goose. He's the gooseman.
Was it? I don't like turkey. Turkey tastes like chicken that's been wrung out or something.
It's a very funny.
I much prefer goose.
I much prefer goose.
It's not wrong, man.
He's cutting the goose. Someone else is on the ham. Greta's on the pudding.
Yeah, I like in the story where he's just like, he just keeps cutting and he's like, does anybody need seconds? And they're like, no, feed yourself. And he's like, I'm fine. And he drinks some stout and he just keeps going.
And right, like his aunts won't sit. So then finally Freddie gets up and plops one of them down in a chair, which is a great little moment in both. And then there's some dinner conversation that gets, the way that cyclical nature of these things reminded me. It can remind you a lot of a current day gathering of your family. But a lot of stuff about Freddie's going to go live with the monks. And they sleep in coffins.
And Mr. Proston, a.k.a. Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Like, I don't get it. Why?
Right. Well, yeah, that's the whole thing with Julia, too. We missed, like, the idea of when she sings and her sister being, like, so upset on her behalf at the Pope for being like, she can't be in the choir anymore.
I looked up. That was 1903. The Pope made a ruling saying women shouldn't be part of the choir in churches anymore. It should only be, prepubescent boys singing in the choir. So once again, that's a current event in the story. Like,
that they're reacting
to. Just happened. I don't understand why the Pope would do that.
Yeah.
He's the Pope.
He's probably right,
Pope,
but I don't
like it though.
It is. It's a good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mr. Brown is the only Protestant at the. But also, it sounded like from his dialogue, maybe he's like even just a bit of an agnostic.
Sure.
Yeah. Right.
But he's just like, don't generalize that we're all Catholics here. I technically am not. So yeah.
What about the other persuasion?
The other persuasion.
So funny. Just a very close sect. To the point. Yeah, but anyways.
And then the big speech. That's kind of the climax of the story. The first climax, the big climax is the Greta's speech.
Yeah.
But
great speech too.
He's been thinking about this speech the whole night.
Yeah. Yes, right. He's constantly in the movie. At least he's checking his notes and he's been obsessed and thinking about and he has to give his big toast.
But it's also funny how like his thoughts about the speech reveal like his elitism and then his anti-elitism that is its own kind of elitism where he's like, should I use this quote? They won't get this quote. I should go with Shakespeare. Yeah. They'll get Shakespeare.
Something for the people. Yeah.
The rabble that is my family will not understand.
It is too in the actual movie, right, where you see like his notes and they're like little bullet points and then you like kind of which is perfect. Like kind of planting payoff of like and then he has a whole thing about Paris and he's crushing about it's like he got there so he gives his big speech and it's all and again thematically very relevant in terms of like life is for the living and blah blah we're part of the living and we can mourn the dead but they're gone and like we need to be in our that in the moment kind of thing it's a good speech. Great speech.
It's very touching. Like the aunts are very appreciative.
Oh my gosh,
it's a very nice moment because they really do. It means so much to them.
Yes, as is very clear, he's the favorite nephew.
Yeah.
They love it from like he's their older sister's son, so like he obviously represents the Thai who's passed. So it's like to that. Yes, they're all. And he like basically gives like the try toast of like I could not possibly choose between these three women, and they were all so fantastic. And where I say we salute all three of them, and they all jump into for He's a Jolly Good Fellow because they couldn't afford Happy Birthday. And then famously, that's how that works.
But it's funny because in they change it for the movie, but in the story, it's the older version, which is for they're a jolly gay fellow.
Oh, you're right.
Yes.
They do. I noticed that in the story. Yeah.
Yeah, for He's a Jolly Gay Fellow.
They realize, well, we don't want to. We're just going to change that. It's okay.
It's the 80s. We don't know.
John Huston's like, they won't get it.
Yeah.
A jolly what?
Now we're calling these women gay fellows? What's going on?
This is going to... Yeah,
but they do... I was impressed. They do have like a brief conversation at the table about tenors.
Yes.
And they do reference, like, Freddie says there's a black tenor at one of the theaters, and he... Briefly,
Freddie just bringing up great points, man.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't a black man be a great tenor?
And it's just fucking
And they kind of move past it very quickly, but it's there in the book.
It is there in the dialogue. I know, it is a moment that feels like it would be done in retrospect. But yeah, no, he brings it up. It's in the book. He's like, what? He can't be great just because he's black? I don't think.
Freddie may be a drunk, but he's a woke drunk.
He's woke. He's staying woke, Freddie.
He's never made a wrong point, bro.
Yeah.
He speaks his truth.
Yeah.
He's going to hang out with the monks. He's enlightened.
Yeah.
Well, he will be. Surely.
He's on the path.
He's on the path.
Which is, I like obviously also in the book or in the movie. I get there's the moment
where they get to stay for free.
They stay for free in coffins.
And he's like, what?
Mr. Brown's like, what the fuck is that about? How's that? And he's
so
like,
you're telling me I could go there? I don't have to pay a fucking dime? And they're like, yeah. I mean, you should donate. And he's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah, it's like, well, and he's like, they believe that they're like giving penance for other people. He's like, well, I mean, I love free insurance. I'd be a fool to turn it down. But like, if they're gonna try to save me and I'm not even trying, that's awesome.
I hope Freddie doesn't become him, man. That'd be such a goddamn bummer.
You know, just looking in the mirror, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But I will say the idea that the monks sleep in coffins is pretty fucking insane.
That's a crazy thing to do. Yeah.
Even to serve the metaphor of like they remind themselves of their future death
every night. And every morning when they wake up and they hit their head on the top of the coffin, I'm sure
one of them just like brought in like some goose feathers and made it comfortable inside the coffin. Like, but that was against. He wrote the rules, but he snuck some nice pillows in there just to give himself a little bit of comfort.
Oh, and then we should also mention that there's a rogue tenor. There's a loose tenor running around the dinner.
Oh,
Who refuses to sing all night.
Who refuses to sing.
Bartell Darcy.
He's like, my throat, I can't, it's it's no good. Yeah. Can't do it. But because I was just thinking of the other great moment, at least, and I'm trying, again, it's tough to remember which dialogue stuff. Most of it does come across from the short story, but where they're like, the tenor, the Italian tenor who was so beloved that when he was dying, they shoved a bunch of hay against his window so they wouldn't bother him. Ireland would never do that.
Yeah, let's get this discussion of like what Ireland is good at, what's not good at. You're right, because his speech, like he says, Ireland's great for hospitality, but one guy says, well, we wouldn't salute a tenor though.
Not like that. We don't believe in that culture. That art's not for us.
Constant struggle, like, are we Europeans or are we different? Yeah. How connected are we to the continent?
Exactly.
You know, how British are we? How Irish are we? You know, this is constant debate over identity.
Yeah,
it's the whole story.
It's really, I mean, it's so many cool little
or
examples.
The wife's from Galway. Oh, that's the West Coast. I'm from Dublin. I'm the more cultured. She's from the West Coast. You know, the more peasantry.
Yes, the Hicks. Which that again a moment like because through most of this dinner and stuff like his wife and him are not really together, but one of the moments where they are is she comes up to him after he's danced with the woman who gives him shit and she's like, is everything all right? And he's like, yeah, she wanted me to go to fucking Ireland or something. She wanted me to go see the country.
Galway,
to go, and she's like, oh, Galway, I'd love to go see home. And he's like, well, you can go if you want.
Go yourself.
I ain't fucking going. Have fun on your own, sweetheart.
Yeah.
I'm going to the continent on my bike.
Yeah. I'd rather go to Bruges.
Yeah, I'm seeing Bruges. I'm seeing France.
See you around.
I'm doing so like a funny little moment where they have, but because they're not really like she's dancing with someone else, he's dancing with someone else. They're not really talking most of it of the time, and then I guess so. Then dinner's over, everyone's skedaddling.
And then she hears a song. Yeah,
right. She hears a song. I was gonna say.
It feels very raucous. Like everybody's very drunk and full of food, and getting them out is like a whole ordeal.
Ordering a cab. Gotta get a cab.
They gotta get Freddie's mom in the cab, and she's not having a good time.
Best cab of all time. By the way.
Looking
it's
good.
A little different in the story. In the story, it's a little more slapstick, where like two different guys are like, "Okay, you gotta go here."
Yeah.
No, you gotta go here, and the cabman's just like, "What?"
Yeah, right. Exactly. When they have to explain, like he doesn't really know where he's going. Like, go to the Trinity Gates and hang a left. I'll tell you where to go or whatever. It's like perfect.
Just a modern Uber driver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He's like, I don't know where I am, dude. You tell me where to go.
I love the line they added in the movie where he's just like, to be fair, I was lost when you hailed me.
I was already lost.
By the way, not actually a cabbie.
Right, exactly. Yeah, also
just
not my
extra
job.
Money.
Yeah, just helping out my brother-in-law who's sick or something. I don't know.
How times have changed.
All that rich Epiphany Day money, you know.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's like working on Black Friday.
Was there a surcharge, I wonder, on Epiphany night?
Oh,
Did they charge you double that night?
It's like an airport run.
I hope so.
Yeah, exactly.
I hope that guy's making good money.
But yes, everyone's kind of filtering out. Right, Lily gives him back his galoshes and is like, "Here's your fucking things." And but then there's a moment when he's downstairs and then he hears the song from upstairs, and his wife is standing on the stairs, just like looking, and he's like, "She's so I could paint her, like she's so beautiful," and like looking at her, and she's listening to this song, not knowing that it's this recalling the saddest thing that's ever happened to anyone.
You can see it on her face. It is rocking her to her core.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're taking the wrong things from this look, buddy.
And that's the thing is like, in the story, he's just like, oh, she's such a picture. I would call this picture this if I was a painter painting this. And like, it's just like he's still so self-involved in this moment that's really about her and her emotions right now.
100%. Which is great. I mean, it's so right. The tenor is eventually coaxed into singing. It's what the last of.
I have it here.
Somewhere.
The last of somewhere. Yeah.
The last of somewhere.
Last of somewhere.
That's probably the last of a place.
The last of Aughrim.
Aughrim.
So close.
Of course.
So close.
I thought I had it.
Yeah.
And she's obviously very emotional. But right, so then it becomes these conflicting, which is a brilliant kind of conceit where it's like, right, even if you're married and you love each other, you're like, you have no idea what's going on in the other person's head at any given moment, where he's like, we're going back to this hotel room, things are going to be fun. Yeah. And she's like, I am devastated.
Yeah.
I am broken.
Like, what the fuck? Why?
She's like, I've been shoving a lot of emotions down, and I've had just enough wine and food, and now that song, and blah.
It hit.
I'm ready to tell you a deep, dark secret. Yeah.
Yes, a thing we've never discussed. Which even, and it is a very much, when you say sort of self-critical, I would say this is a moment where he is unsparing in being self-critical.
And apparently that's why it also feels like very much autobiographical, because there's a great, there's a film called Nora, which is a biography of Joyce and Nora. And it's set like in their early lives as he's writing this. And a lot of the film is about how much Joyce was very jealous of his wife, very possessive of her, and how because he admired that she was like Greta. She was from the west of Ireland. She was a more worldly woman than he was. He had kind of more prep schools and very high society Dublin. He liked that, but he also. Who have you dated before me? Who have you slept with before me? He was very much like obsessed with that and was very jealous of her. So I think that's very much in the story that the character of Gabriel, like on the one hand, I like that I'm very cultured and European, but also my wife. What's my wife done before me?
I should ask her questions or something.
Man. Why can't she be this
I should engage in her life.
Unspeaking beauty? Why did she have to have a life before me?
Yeah, she's like, oh, this is boy. And he's like, oh, I bet you fucking loved him, huh?
Yeah.
He's like, why don't you Galway? You want to see him, don't you?
Yeah, that was my favorite thing. He's like, oh, that's why you want to take a trip to Galway, because you're fucking in love with this fucking kid from your fucking youth.
She's dead. He's dead. Oh, well,
Which I think,
whatever.
To her point, she's like, you brought up Galway. What are you talking about? It's very fun. He's a real, he's not handling it well.
No,
he's spiraling very quickly at the idea that there's anyone else.
Well, he went from horny to mad pretty fast. So
turns
he doesn't
out
know what to do with that anger. So.
Well, if you're like, all of a sudden, you're like, oh, I guess that door's shut. You'd be like, oh.
So, the story is that, when she was a teenager, she had this kind of a young man and she went on a couple dates with. They'd
go on walks. Yeah.
But
very sweet, sensitive boy.
But then he got sick.
Fragile even.
And the night she was to leave to go to a convent in Dublin, he came to see her in the rain, and he died a week later. And she blames herself. She believes that he died because he came to see her and got sick, or got more sick, and then so she basically killed him.
That fucking exchange in both the story and the movie. Like, I knew it was coming in the movie, but like when Angelica Houston says it, I literally started to be like, oh God.
It's amazing.
Because he goes like, so what did he die from? Consumption? And she's like, I think he died from me. And I'm just like, fuck.
And it's a great
tough.
You're thinking, the whole movie. You're thinking, like, why is Angelica Houston like? It's it's a good movie. It's her dad's movie. Why is she in this film? Like, she's better. She's bigger than this role. Oh, because if you don't read the story, she gets this incredible monologue at the very end. Yeah. That's why this is a great part, because of that monologue.
Yeah. Really, from the cab ride back to the part, you're just like, she is on fire, or even from the stairs.
Because she's just kind of being bubbly and charming most of the film,
totally,
like in the background.
And then you can just read the sort of tortured look upon her face the rest of the time. Because, even when they pass the bridge, it's another moment of the adaptation where, like, before they leave in the story, he tells the whole thing about his grandfather's horse who would only walk in circles, and, like, somehow it started walking in circles and he got stuck.
It's a great story.
It's very funny. He's like, I don't know if
she is not there, man.
She's not into it. She's like,
that story usually kills. What the fuck?
Really?
This is my best party story. What the hell?
I saved it for you. What the fuck?
I just thought of it. It's so funny.
If I had told this to Freddie, he'd be on the floor
Freddie
laughing.
would eat this shit up.
Oh my God. Freddie would talk about this for 20 years. Oh my God. Wasted. And she's just like looking out the window, just
that's funny, dude.
Feel everything.
Yeah.
But they go back. She has this amazing monologue about the boy who died, and right, exactly. Like he escaped a hospital that they wouldn't let him leave from to come to see her, and then she like basically passes out, and Gabriel's just like, wow, I guess I never loved anybody like that.
Yeah,
that guy was pretty cool.
He's like,
he was
do
super
I even
brave
love
and
my wife?
love.
Like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Did she ever love me like that? Probably not. Like, oh man, like my whole world is.
Yeah, he has a full-on existential spiral.
He's like, oh, she is. Maybe to her that person exists inside of her, but like that's not the person that I'm with, and I don't feel that way about the person that I'm with. Like, yeah.
Well, yeah. Tough.
And like,
it's a pretty bad night for him.
Like he even says like it's they are middle aged, and he says like my wife is still beautiful, but she's not as beautiful as she was at 17 when this man died. Like, all right, a little harsh, man, a little harsh, but fair. I get your point. Yeah. Like. To a certain degree, we all miss how beautiful we were in our youth, but it's continued with we're all growing older, and then it's obviously once again it's in the book, but like it is very powerful to see in the movie. We get to see this flash forward. We see this. He imagines in a few years my aunt will be dead and will be going back to the house not for a party but for a funeral. And it's very powerful to see that actress then now on her bed at the wake, and they're all dressed in black, and it's very nice to see that because once again, like it's in the book, but to see it on screen, to see this actress we've seen the whole way through, now finally laying on her deathbed is a very powerful addition that the movie can do. Yeah,
it's why it's cinematic, right? Yeah. So you cut to that stuff, and it is all very powerful. And again, just like there's an amazing shot in that little stretch of the snow falling.
Yeah,
holy shit! I've never seen anything like it.
That's
it's incredible.
They take that the first time. That's very interesting. Like the movie, and for the first time. Cut changes to narration. Because they know we have to. Right, a lot of the narration we can tell visually through his looks, but we have this final 2 pages of the story. We need to have this spoken, so we'll change the narration now in the final stretch.
Yeah, go to voiceover basically, and which sounds great. I mean, it works fantastically, and you're just like, it's just like the audiobook. No, but it's an incredibly well delivered performance. I mean, because then you get the layers of obviously what his face is doing, what you're seeing, and then the words, which are incredible.
Also just that last line, which is can you read it?
I'll read it out. Yeah. Let's see.
But do it with passion.
Yeah, really performance.
Yeah, give me chills.
The last paragraph is really great. Yes, the newspapers were right. Snow was general all over Ireland. It was falling on every part of the dark central plain, on the treeless hills, falling softly upon the bog of Allan, and farther westward, softly falling into the dark, mutinous Shannon waves. It was falling, too, upon every part of the lonely churchyard on the hill where Michael Fury lay buried. It lay thickly drifted on the crooked crosses and headstones, on the spears of the late little gate, on the barren thorns. His soul swooned slowly as he heard the snow falling faintly through the universe, and faintly falling, like the descent of their last end, upon all the living and the dead. That's an incredible last
mic drop.
Paragraph. Yeah. That's right up there with like the ending of The Great Gatsby, just for like, whoa. You know how to end the story right.
Yeah.
The thing that was frustrating. So you said audiobook. I did end up doing the audiobook with Stephen Ray, the actor.
Oh, really?
Reading it.
Oh, I want to hear that now.
Yeah,
great.
It's really good. But the thing that's so frustrating is that they don't give it a beat after he says the living and the dead. Immediately another voice comes in and is like,
Thank you for listening to
Dubliners was performed by Stephen Ray.
Let it breathe, buddy.
Give it you gotta 5 seconds.
Come on.
Something.
You got to give it a beat there. Yeah.
That's tough.
That's a good choice
tough.
for a reader. That's nice. I like that.
No, and it's great too because it's funny. We talked last time. A lot of times I'll put it on a little faster, but like during the early going, he's reading it at such a conversational pace that if I did it faster, I would miss things he was saying. So I just played it at 1x, and then in the later part, when it's later at night, he gets quieter and slower. And I didn't speed up. I was just like, yeah, all right, we're getting quieter and slower. And it's like perfect. Like I really liked that performance. Stephen Ray, kind of a good actor. I don't know.
Definitely a good actor.
Oh, that's cool. I would jump back and forth between the story and the audiobook, but the one that I listened to was the one on Spotify.
Yeah, it's the one I listened to.
Read by a woman who I don't know who she was. I'm sure she was good.
Lovely woman.
But it had an incredible intro that was like
yeah, it's like a readers beware kind of bullshit.
Yeah, it was
or something.
weird. It's like a creak. Welcome to the mystery box of horror. And
It's not that bad, but it is weird. It is weird.
It's very strange.
No, what's really scary? The ultimate fate of all humans to die. That's the true horror.
The number one horror story of all
That's
time.
what's really scary.
Ponder mortality and the impermanence of life. It's an insane setup for the story that follows.
It doesn't fit at all.
No,
for sure.
it's crazy.
Dead.
Very, very
Yeah,
much.
Vincent Price is in there.
Yeah, they're like, what public domain horror stories? Well, this is called The Dead.
That's like a horror story, yeah.
We got it. Someone read it. Put a little spin on it. But yeah, it's very good. Besides that,
Yeah, her actual narration is pretty good.
yeah, she did good. Yeah.
Not her fault.
Not
I'm
her.
sure.
Innocent.
Innocent.
unnamed audiobook reader. Innocent.
We couldn't possibly look it up.
No, it's impossible.
I do want to say now that we're really owning that, like, because of our time crunch, we often do the audiobook. I have created a playlist on Libro.fm, which is the audiobooks that are available of our episodes. So if you use Libro.fm, say you're supporting Skylight Books, and also, just check out our playlist, you know?
Yeah.
Very
Anyhow, yeah. All right.
Hell yeah.
Early plug.
Really
No,
play?
not a bad idea.
So I
Yeah,
guess...
that's the plot.
Yeah, so then I guess
that's it.
to the film then, I guess we can talk about a little bit the setup of the movie. This is John Huston, or do you want to do this?
Hey, you're a better host than us. Get in there.
We're all scatterbrained. This has been,
So the movie is directed by John Huston, the kind of very esteemed filmmaker of like old Hollywood. His father was Walter Huston, who was an actor, and then his children go on to be Angelica Huston and Danny Huston, and of course he made some great classics with Maltese Falcon and
Oh, sorry to cut you off, but and also his son Tony Huston, who got an Academy Award nomination for this
so
adaptation.
he really the Huston dynasty is really impressive.
There's the one guy from Boardwalk Empire who's a Houston.
Yeah.
I can't think of what his first name is, but he's a Houston. We played Richard Harrow, the guy with the mask.
Houston, maybe?
Oh,
No,
you talking about the sniper?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
the sniper.
Jack
Yeah.
Huston.
Jack Huston, yes.
The Huston family goes on.
Yeah,
Damn.
he's four
pretty-
generations of Houstons in Hollywood.
Pretty good.
But there's a making of the film. If you're interested, there's a called John Huston the Dubliners, it was a made-for-TV documentary. You can find it online. It should be on YouTube or something. But he mentions he had been a fan of Joyce for a long time. He read Ulysses as a young man, fell in love with it, sort of read all of his works. So he had definitely been a fan of Joyce. He has Irish ancestry. And then in the 50s, he moved to Ireland and lived there for about 10 or 15 years. He had a nice mansion in the countryside. It's where Angelica Huston spent a lot of her childhood, so that's why she has a good grasp of Irish accents. So he filmed a couple films there, like he filmed Moby Dick, which is not set in Ireland, but he filmed a lot of the scenes in Ireland. So he liked filming.
I forgot he did Moby Dick.
Yeah, so he liked filming in Ireland, but he said like he always wanted to make a film about Ireland. And he finally got this chance with The Dead to make the film in Ireland, even though by the time he made this film, he was very sick with emphysema due to his constant smoking, and they filmed most of it on a set in Valencia, and
I think
the exterior shot in Dublin.
I think it was in the Karina Longworth, but there was like the detail that he was at the stage where he was afraid to fall asleep because his often his ability to like get oxygen was so poor. He was like, I might just not wake up.
Yeah, in the making of, you see the footage. He's wearing an oxygen tank the whole time on set. Like he's mostly sitting down. He's got the tubes in but he's still, despite all that, he still seems very. He's still got that personality. You've seen him in Chinatown. That's how he was in life. Like, all right, let's get line up the camera now. Action, everyone! Like he's got that great voice. He was like 6'4" or something, a big towering man, and he was a guy who loved. And so what's fascinating to me is that this is such a very intimate interior story when his whole career is about he was an adventurer. He loved to shoot. He loved to hunt. He loved to explore. African Queen, they went to Africa to film that. Sierra Madre, they went to the mountains of Mexico to film that.
Man Who Would Be King.
But
he also was like, he went to Italy during World War II to shoot like documentary.
He
basically
went to
tagged
war to
along.
film movies.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible thing.
And then his final movie is the most intimate two-room movie possible. Yeah. But that's what he could do at that time, and he makes the most of it. He shoots it so carefully, so beautifully. Yeah. It never feels like a TV story. It feels extremely cinematic, even though it is extremely closed off in what it can tell.
Well, and it's so smart, too, because I think a lot of the dialogue stuff is done in sort of long master shots.
Yeah.
But then, like, some of the musical performances, there are, like, very specific cuts to the people around the room. And it's so, like, perfect.
Yeah.
Like, just, he knows, like, the expression that we need here. You know, it's just, like, yeah, it never feels like, oh, we're watching a play, or we're watching something that was very low budget. It's just like, this is the story and how it needs to be told. So, like,
I do like in that podcast by Karina Longworth, she mentions that towards later in life, John Huston apparently was not so much attentive as a director. He kind of made films, and he would often just say, "Yeah, you got this, DP. You can figure it out. And actors, you got this." And he even says, like, even with this film, like, someone asked him, "What's your directorial style?" "Oh, I don't have a style. I'm very much, I hire the right people. They know what they're doing. I'm very hands off in that sense. He's not Kubrick in that sense, very detailed, or Fincher and everything. But they do say with this film, he knew what he wanted. He knew exactly what he wanted. So the editor's like, he's great. Like, he's giving me only like one take of something. He's like, yep, this is exactly what I want. We're moving on. We don't need two takes of this. Like, I'm very confident in this is what we need, and we can move on. So, but I do like the idea. What's the story of Annie? Like, on Annie, he was very much like, yeah, you got this, guys. Sure. Musical, no problem.
There's a little girl. She's dancing around. That's fine.
Guys. I'll be in my trailer.
Well, I think wasn't it also like he didn't even bother to see the musical before taking the job?
He had not seen it. I'm hired to a job. I can do it. I don't need to see the musical. I'm fine.
You know, that's what Hollywood was when you came up. Right?
That's true. He clearly liked making.
What am I directing today?
He kept making movies. He made a film a year for like most of his life, but they did that. Oh yeah, it's a job. It's okay. I like what I like. I don't have to be in charge of everything.
Yeah.
I clock in, I clock out.
Yeah, it is. I looked at his IMDb last night, and it definitely seems like every sort of, especially in the last part of his career, every like success or like critics' success was often immediately followed up by like the worst schlock of his career. Like he does Wise Blood in I think 79, and then in like 1980 he does a terrible horror movie that everyone's just like, was he paying attention? Like,
hey man, a gig's a gig.
I am curious now. She describes his Bible movie where he did In the Beginning, the Old Testament, where he plays like Noah himself. Like, that sounds kind of crazy. I'm interested in that. I might want to check that out just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
Like, John Huston as Noah sounds very interesting. Because also for me, to be honest, probably my first exposure to John Huston is the animated The Hobbit from the 70s. He voices Gandalf. And like he's a great Gandalf. Bilbo Baggins. Yeah. So that's probably my first exposure to John Huston was his voice performance as Gandalf.
I think you've just connected a few dots in my brain that had not been connected before. Son of a... All right. Do we have any other thoughts before we do the final votes?
I'm trying to
think. Like Call me. What is it? Call me. That's one of my favorite points in movies. Cole Meany's in this movie. I love that.
Cole
dude.
fucking Meany. Love that guy. Yeah, I mean, there's just amazing. It looks so good. There's a couple shots in particular, like, again, when I think very early on and they're coming in and there's like a candle in the foreground and like they're coming up the stairs, or during his big toast, there's like that long pushing down the table where like you then perfectly get the block of the three like aunts and the niece together.
Like the watery eyes, too.
Just tearing up. And or even just like the way they serve the food and he's like cutting the goose and you see it come all the way down, like the plate getting, and then it gets past the person who wanted it and then it comes back to them. And I was just like, man, this guy's just fucking, again, making it feel very cinematic in a way that's like, oh, he's serving dinner, but it's like, what a cool, I don't know. He's good stuff in there.
That moment is funny because it's like, wait, I thought that plate was. It was like, oh, they need the ham too.
Yeah, pop some ham on.
The goose, they got to get the goose and the ham.
Exactly right. Well, that potato comes in from in the middle, and you're like, oh, potato. Come on. It's very. Or again, even just like lighting the pudding on fire is like a cool little moment of just an Angelica Houston like, here it is, boom, it's on fire.
It's so much about it's about the sort of traditions, the pageantry of this event, contrasted with all these internal thoughts. But everyone else kind of, especially in the book, it's like, what's Gabriel thinking about? Oh yeah, I got this. Oh, I love like the line. Like one of my favorite like parts of the adaptation is a brief moment where technically it's direct. Like they say, Gabriel Kennedy, we need you to cut the goose, and he says, coming. He said quite animatedly, as if he was ready to cut a whole flock of geese. And in the film, they make that a line. They say, coming, Aunt Mary, I'm ready to cut a whole flock of geese if necessary. And I like that. I like that they actually made that into a line, that he says that outright. I'm ready to cut a whole flock of geese. And so like, no, it's in the book, but that's a great example of taking a internal thought, but it flows very naturally into an external dialogue.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, let me squeeze, like, I think that the choice that we talked about where like voiceover is introduced right at the end, it's like that's the only way to go. Like the movie smartly doesn't try to like squeeze any other voiceover in or like make lines too expository. It's just like, we'll get what we can get and then some voiceover at the end. Like,
When it comes to short stories, like I was listening to your guys' episode about Total Recall, and that's a great example of a story where like the short story is like the first act of the movie, and then they kind of like realize, well, the story just ends. That'll be the beginning of the film, and then we'll invent this whole second and third act to take the story to a movie level. So sometimes the story is like that, or like I love how Fantastic Mr. Fox is a pretty short book. So the film invents a prologue, basically, what happened before he starts raiding the farmers, and then it adds a whole epilogue about what happens after the story. So the short story becomes the middle of the book. But this one, they decide, no, this is enough. It's only for an 80-minute movie. This is enough story. We'll just kind of, but because it's about a dinner party, we can add more singing. We have the dancing, we have the singing. Yeah. That will fill out the story, and that'll give it life, and that'll make it a feature-length movie. We don't need to add subplots, or I was even thinking, like, I guess they could have filmed Greta's story. They could have had an actress play young Greta and a guy play Michael Fury. That could have been a whole subplot. But like, no, it's actually better if we just have Angelica Houston tell it. Like she can perform this, and that's enough.
That would have taken away way too much.
And also, just getting back to that moment too, it's so smart that so much of it is played from his POV, which is kind of like a not very open profile where she's facing away from him as she's telling this. And so it's like we don't even kind of get the like actory moment you expect of like she's unleashing it all to us. It's like, no, even we're kind of kept out of it.
Give me the Persona cut where they just do the same scene from the other angle right after.
But I love this film is very beloved in Ireland. It premiered. It had Irish premiere at the Dublin Film Festival back in the day, and every year the Irish Film Institute plays it on January 6th, on the day of the Epiphany. It's like, I don't know how long now, but at least 10 years or something. They play it every year, so on film. So hopefully one day I'll get to go to that because I would love just to be there for that. But I love the idea that because obviously he's not technically Irish, but he did live in Ireland for over 10 years. He loved Ireland. He had an Irish passport. He always kind of basically considered himself Irish later in life. And the fact that this adaptation of a very beloved Irish story, everyone agrees it's a good adaptation. Like everyone, I was like, yep, he did a good job. We like this film adaptation. We're gonna screen it every year because obviously the Ulysses is very beloved. The whole Bloomsday, people read it every year and celebrate it and do walking tours. So obviously they're very protective of the writing. But I'm glad that Ireland has also embraced this film adaptation as like, this is a good job.
Yeah, he didn't defile it. He nailed it.
He did not defile it.
Yeah. Well, I think also just because of our time crunch, we can sort of skip over, like, would everyone say they liked both story and movie? Would everybody sign off on both?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the
definitely.
movie is the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, great. So then here comes the tough part. Which is better, the story or the movie? And guess what, Conor? You get to go first.
I knew you were going to do this to me, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I've seen the film. This is my second time seeing it. So I saw the film first, read it, and then watched it again. And I really do love the movie, but I'll admit, like, I love the movie because it is reading, having read it now, I realize, it's very much a faithful adaptation. It really takes the book and just brings it to life on screen. It has a couple little things. I like seeing the music. I like seeing the dancing, but it really is just a very faithful adaptation. So in some ways, I guess I kind of go with the book is what is the superior thing, just because that's what's inspired the film. It is this work by this acclaimed author, or was it his friend T.S. Eliot called it the greatest short story in English language, and I think the film just does a great job of bringing it to life. So I think in some ways, like, if you don't want to read the book, you could just watch the movie. And that's great. I think the movie is phenomenal, but it's great because it is based on a great short story. So I do think in some ways, like, the short story is what still reigns supreme, just because it is this over 100-year-old great short story. But the film is also great because it just takes that and does not fuck it up. It just this is a great story. Let's just shoot the story, and it's a credit to the filmmakers that they didn't mess it up. But also, it works just as well as a film as it does a written short story. It doesn't
feel stodgy. It feels very alive.
Yeah. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me like how like A Christmas Carol. A Christmas Carol is a great book, and I like watching the films, and there's so many great adaptations. And that was the case. Like there's 100 different Christmas Carol adaptations, and they're all good in different ways. But at the end of the day, the book is still the book. That's what's still great. They're all great. All of them are good because they're based on a really good book. So in this case, I would say, the short story is the right way, but the film is also terrific.
Cool. All right, Tyler.
Yeah, I completely agree with all that. This is really like Allan's
Dream. It's going to be a
dream.
ditto for me, too.
This is an Allan Dream adaptation where it's just like, we put it all up on screen, baby. We didn't make a single choice.
I know.
And we just did it. And we had a good filmmaker do it.
This is young Allan's dream.
No,
young Allan's dream.
I mean, we've been doing this.
I allow for nuance now.
Now?
Yes.
Oh, like starting right now, you mean?
I shared a story with you as a child where I was like, I couldn't understand why they would change Homeward Bound, and you turned it into this.
I'm just saying,
how dare
I've
you?
hosted this podcast with you for like a year and a half, almost 2 years now. Unless you mean now, starting right now,
No.
you've allowed nuance into your life. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
Okay. Anyways, well, I'll quote.
No, I hate when they make changes that don't make sense.
Sure.
That's what I don't like.
Mm-hmm. But I think your barometer for what or what does not make sense is different than other people's, brother.
No way.
Right. Hey,
no way.
That's fine. Hey, we'll talk about this later.
Okay, sure.
No, but anyway, I'm going to quote a different former coworker of ours who said a very pretentious thing once, but I think it applies here, which is that it's really about the sentences. With Joyce specifically, he was saying it about someone else, but in this case, you want to read the prose because the prose is, as Conor read the last paragraph, fucking incredible.
Yeah.
And you really, I think there's obviously again, there's cinematic effects that there's a cinematic quality about the movie that you don't get from the book, but what you don't get from the movie is every sentence from James Joyce is just basically an absolute banger, and you're going to want to read that. And so I would say just by the narrowest of margins, I'll give it to the short story.
Okay. I mean, ditto times 2 to both you lads. I'm trying to think of like just it's always that lens of the audiobook where that's always in the back of my mind, you know? It's always like I should have just fucking read this book, but I'm always so lazy. I don't know, man. It's hard. But agreed, like it is a really, really, really beautiful short story. The movie is fantastic. I got to give it to the story as well. It's just kind of perfect in its own way. I love a little freak out spiral at the end too of just we're all just gonna fucking die. I don't know my wife. I've wasted my life. What am I doing?
Wasted my life writing book reviews for
she was
and
right.
going on biking trips in Europe. What have I done with my life?
I'm basically Irish now. But no, yeah, I say the story as well. But the movie it's cooking.
Yeah.
Because it is just the story plus. It's the story plus.
Yeah, I agree. Allan, Tyler, Conor, I agree. I think both are so good. We're talking top tier in both cases. Mm-hmm. But I think, there's a certain special pleasure in reading Joyce's words. Mm-hmm. So I also will just give it a little kick. But as I was saying before, I feel like there are certain sequences that are so brilliantly staged, so brilliantly edited, and just even comparing the sequence on the stairs in the book to the movie, just the fact that the movie is able to harness as much of the power of that description in the story in the movie, I think is astonishing. Like, and so little is happening. We're hearing the song off camera. We're sort of seeing her on the edge of the frame. We're seeing him on the other edge of a different frame, but it's like it's everything. So, the movie does such a good job of finding ways to translate the story, but I think the story, as has been said, just has that little specific, unique magic that I would recommend it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So, it's unanimous. The book is won. James Joyce.
Turns out James Joyce good.
James Joyce maybe good.
Weird.
Yeah, John Huston good. James Joyce better.
Yeah, I don't know.
To be fair, we haven't delved into Finnegan's Wake or anything, but
I will fucking write.
There is a film adaptation of Ulysses.
Don't even,
man.
Made
in like the 60s or
Do
something.
not.
In black and white.
But
I know.
How long is it? Because
I think
what do you even capture?
Absolutely not.
I've definitely heard that one they had to cut a lot, so I'm not sure.
I think if any guest tried to bring that, we'd have to just slowly talk them down. I would not be up for that either. I would be much more into checking out the William Shatner Brothers Karamazov before we did anything like that. I mean, that would be a long read as well, but I think that would be an interesting...
Worth it for the Shat, huh?
Yeah, all for the Shat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shat man.
He's a Shat man.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again. Conor, thank you for coming back.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Hopefully we'll keep you in the rotation, keep bringing you back for good stuff.
Does it need to keep being short stories, or can I pose a novel?
I mean,
of course.
We love it. And to be honest, this bordered on novella. Maybe a little too long.
Yeah. If we could keep it shorter.
Let's get these short stories shorter. You know?
But so we'll have you back. Not totally sure what we're doing for June for movies, but we're gonna have some good podcasts in the upcoming feed. So stay subscribed. Come to our bookstore. Have a great summer. Live a good life, because we're all gonna die.
Mm-hmm. And get to know your wife.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Skylight Books podcast series. We hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to check out the book featured in this episode, or others, please visit skylightbooks.com. If you're in the Los Angeles area, stop by for one of our live in-person author events. You can find a calendar on our website. If you like this podcast, leave us a review. It really helps us out. Our music is by Duck the Piano Wire. Till next time.